Hey, good morning, everyone,
Good morning.
or good afternoon. Sorry. We're going to start in 2 minutes. Oh, there. Turn this over just a little bit. Let's see, we've got. Oh yeah, we're taking this one from the Star Wars Museum. Hope you all.
That's cool.
Figure we switch it up a little bit. So right now there's 1, 2. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Hanging in there.
How was your weekends?
Good.
Good.
Thanks for being so expressive. Anybody get arrested for legal assembly?
Not yet.
No, I was not arrested.
No, but I did get stopped for not having proper seatbelts.
You guys hear? Can you hear us well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll just leave it as it is. Time's 12:30, so I'll give it maybe one more minute, then we're gonna get started. All right, let's see. How many participants do we have? 20. 20. All right, let's see. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to record this. Is it being recorded? I think it's already being recorded. Oh, awkward. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I do want to say, just administratively, I don't know if you guys have seen if this information's come out, but they've made some changes to the grading policies for Las Positas College because of everything that's going on. And so, and it's really favorable for you all as students. So you can take this class and all your classes, you can take them now pass, no pass. So we were having that conversation before. So pass, no pass is officially an option now. You can take an incomplete. You can withdraw from the class. Hope none of you all want to do. So if you haven't checked your email, check your email. If you don't see it there, it should be online. If not, give it a day or two. I don't know if they just sent the information to us and then they're sending it out to you all as well. All right, so are any questions about that?
Nope.
No, I think I understand. It sounds good.
It is. It's really good, and you know, they're working with, you know, thinking about your other classes, they're even working with the colleges and like the four-year colleges and universities to make sure that if you're taking this class, that it's going to, even if you take it pass, no pass or something like that, it's still going to count for credit when you move on to your four-year university. So they're doing some really, really good things out of the 1600 building where administration is. So, all right, so we have we moved the venue today to the Star Wars Museum, and I did that for two reasons. Number one, I want you guys to see my beautiful collection here. And number two, I didn't want this guy to come into my house. So we have a guest speaker here, and this is my father-in-law, Benny. No.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings.
So, so Benny, I talk about you a lot in the classroom because I admire how the decisions that you've made financially, and so I saw him on not saw him. We live next door to each other, so see him all the time. But when I saw him, I think it was on Wednesday, Thursday. I said, "Hey, would you come to the class and just share a little bit with the class?" And the specific question I asked was, what are 3 financial tips that you wish you knew when you were 30 years old?
Or before
Before the age of 30.
Before the,
What, I don't know what I said, but whatever I said, whatever you're prepared to talk about. So he agreed. And so see what he has to say.
oh, well, the first thing is, if you can't hear me, just speak up. Sometimes I tend to lower my voice. Okay, so I thought about that, and I thought it was very interesting. So I think the 3 things that I wish I knew when I was 20 instead of 30 is, the first thing is you should know yourself. And by that, I mean, what kind of person are you? Are you risk adverse? Are you or not? You should decide, this is the kind of person I am. Because what happens is, it's more of an emotional thing. If you are risk adverse and you start losing money, then you go crazy. And for other people, it doesn't bother them because it's like gambling. Okay, so I think you should know what kind of person you are. And a lot of people don't when it comes to their financial planning. Okay, so that would be the very first thing. The second thing I would do is learn something about risk management, because what they say is, if you're more risk taker, you might go in for some bigger dips and some bigger highs, and you can ride them through emotionally. But you can see, if I'm risk adverse, so I have to admit that. So when I saw the market going up and down, going crazy, that type of thing, other people didn't bother them. So a lot of this is for your mental health. So that's the second thing. Take a course in risk management. All the stockbrokers talk about it, but they say, if you're going to go into individual stocks, be prepared for a wild ride. If you're going into indexes and things like that, then it's more stable but a lot less exciting. So that's the third thing I would recommend, if you could do it, is if you're risk averse like me, so this is geared toward me, then the third thing I had to learn was, don't look at the stock market every day. Don't look at your investments every day. Because if you do, if you're in there for the long haul, it seems sort of silly to be looking up what your investments are doing every second. So those are the 3 things I do. I do that for I'm saying this for myself for one big reason. It keeps me sane, and I don't worry so much and that type of thing. So, I mean, those are the three things I would do. Two of them have nothing to do with financial planning. Two of them have to do with what kind of person you are, and the risk management is the financial plan. But don't undertake a financial plan that doesn't meet your personality. I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, what if they have questions?
Oh, I was so complete that nobody has a question, right? Only kidding. All right. Any questions?
So what are you doing in like the current stock market? Like, are you buying any stocks that?
I'm a little older than you guys, so when you invest in your 401ks usually have different plans. So if you're 20, they suggest this plan, and but I'm a little older. What they do is they recommend 65% bonds and paper and 35% stocks. So I'm doing real good right now. I wasn't doing
Good to hear.
good 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, today it finally picked back up. I think it's up like 1,200 points,
Mhm.
Dow Jones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But what I learned, it doesn't make any difference to me because I'm in there for the long haul. And
Gotcha.
I know the market's going to go back up
What was
maybe
the
5 years. Fine. Other questions?
Yes, I had a question. You were mentioning when a good way to be financially, I guess, well, was to know who you are, whether you're risk adverse or I guess the opposite would be gambler. Are there other categories of that you could, I don't know, maybe mention or that you're aware of besides those two? You know, gambler and risk adverse?
Those are the ones, I mean, the world to me breaks into those two categories, but there's shades of each one. He says, you might be risk averse, but he said, well, I'll set aside so much money for risk taking, and if I lose it, I lose it. And if
Oh, okay.
make a fortune out of it. So it's how you
It's like a
manage your,
spectrum.
yeah, it's how you manage your portfolio.
Right. Okay. That makes it clear.
Other questions? So I didn't get a chance to, well, actually, I asked you yesterday, what were you going to say? And you didn't know what you were going to say.
I was ignoring him.
Yeah, that's pretty common. But you didn't talk, I was hoping he'd talk about budgeting, but no budgeting.
Well, I think to me that's pretty common sense, but it isn't. But it's pretty common sense. Everybody knows what to do. It goes back to your personality. Everybody knows what to do. Some people do it and some people don't. But live within your means. I don't know what more there is to say than that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, he's leaving. All right. He's waving goodbye. All right. How was that for you guys?
It's good. He had he had a good way of looking at things financially, which yeah should be helpful. As I think he said, it's good for him to tell us that now that we're a lot younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was nice of him to come by. You know, I had several guest speakers lined up for you all, one had to postpone. And so then this happened. So I think she was supposed to come last week, but then this happened. And I have 2 more lined up. So I'm going to see if I can get them to, they're not going to come here. So Benny and I don't have to social distance because like we live next door to each other, we're at each other's house all the time. So whatever is whatever. But other people will have them kind of join us through the Zoom chat. But I think it's good to get different perspectives. And I just want to remind you guys that you have the book, and the book has a perspective. I'm just giving you one perspective. There's a lot of other financial gurus out there that give you their perspectives. And so, I really like what Benny said about knowing yourself, because eventually you have to come to a financial plan that makes sense for you. And so I'm hoping there's things that I'm saying that you like, and you're going to put that into your plan. But also hope there's things that you're saying that I'm saying that you go, that's not going to work out for me. And you just, you appreciate what's being said, but you choose to do something different, right? Because then you're making your own choices. So let's see here. We're going to talk about credit scores today. So I have my glasses on because I have this thing at a distance. And so I'm going to see if I can't figure this out here, but I may have to put my face in front of the camera a couple times so that I can navigate through some different things. While we're doing that, I should also introduce you to my other guest speakers. I want to introduce you to, can you see all these guys? I don't know what you can or can't see, but this is, can you see R2D2 over in the corner? R2D2. Yeah. Good friend, C3PO, good buddy of mine. This is Anakin Skywalker before he became this guy. The kid version. Darth Vader. And then we have the great Jar Jar Binks. And then over here is the slave owner, Watto. And then there's some other guys sprinkled about. What's up, Boba Fett? I see you, Stormtrooper. What's up, AT-AT? Darth Maul in the corner. Let's give it up for all of our people here. They don't talk much, but they're here. All right. Let's talk about credit and credit scores. Yes. All right. So today we're going to focus on credit and your credit scores. So talking about what's the difference between good credit and bad credit, and understanding why it's important to have good credit or bad credit. So here's why credit is important, right? So your credit history does a lot of things, right? When you look at, and let me step back. So no, let me step forward. Your credit history is going to determine if you get approved for a loan. And so remember, when you're buying a house or a car, these are pretty common loans that people take out, particularly if you're buying a house, right? So in America, we take out loans. So it's going to determine what, one, if you're approved, number two, what interest rate are they going to give you? How much are you going to have to pay to borrow this money? It also, if you need a deposit, if you have utilities, right? So if you guys have ever got PG&E or electricity or gas, they run your credit, and they may say you have to put down a deposit if you want to get credit. If you want to rent an apartment, they run your credit history. For certain insurance rates, car insurance, life insurance. They're also looking at your credit history. And some companies will even run a credit history on you before you're offered a job. The important, and what they're looking at is this whole thing about credit history. It really is just an indicator of your responsibility, right? So they're looking to see how responsible are you with money, and then taking that and using that as a proxy to say how responsible is he or she going to be when it comes to coming to work on time, doing what's required, asking the right questions, etc. So there is a video I want to show, and when I was trying to show this, wasn't working very well for me, but hey, we're going to try it. So let me see if I can get this video to run. I mean, you guys have no idea how bad my eyesight is. I usually can get away with it because, you know, oh, there it is. Can you guys see the video? Getting ready to start?
Loading.
Loading.
Yeah, I think it's loading.
All right, let's see if it plays. Video wasn't very kind to me. I had a feeling this wasn't going to work.
I don't think it's playing. There's no play.
No, it's not playing on my end either. That's all right. So it's on from Forbes magazine, and it's it just talks about everything you need to know about your as to why credit is important. So I'll send out the link so that you can take a look at it. I think it was more of the website that was having problems. Let's get back to this here. Oh. All right, so that video is a minute long, and it talks about 10 different things about why your credit score is important. And I pulled out some of them to talk about. So this first one is your credit score helps determine whether you're going to get a loan. Okay. So they're looking at your credit score to make a decision, should we approve you for a loan or not? Now, that becomes really important when you're thinking about where am I going to, I want to buy this house, and will I get approved to buy this home, right? Because owning a home, right, is in America, that's our biggest asset, right? Our greatest wealth generator is the home that we own. So your credit score is making that decision. It's also a factor if you're applying for credit cards, right? And so some of you don't have credit cards yet, but chances are you will have one or two credit cards. And so it determines, are you going to, whether or not they're going to give you a credit card. Okay? And credit cards, like we talked about on last week, definitely have their disadvantages if you're not disciplined and behaving appropriately, but they also have many advantages as well. So that credit score, so even after you get the loan, it's going to also make a decision as to what interest rate you're going to receive. Okay, so they may say you have a low credit score, so we're willing to give you a loan, but what we're also going to do, what we're going to ask for is that you pay a higher interest rate. And this is all about managing their risk, right? So if I trust you and I say, all right, I loan you this money, I know I'm going to get the money back. Well, then if I know I'm going to get it back, then I'll just charge you a low interest rate because, that's how I'm making my money. But the less I trust you, right, the less likely it is that you're going to pay me back the entire balance. I'm pretty sure you're going to pay me back the first 3 or 4, but then that 5th, 6th, 7th payment, you know, you may or may not pay me back. So that's why banks are going to charge a higher interest rate, because they're trying to front load how much money can we make before we get rid of this loan and give it to someone else to go after them and chase. So it also impacts your credit score as well. So I've been watching a lot of TV, and how many of you have seen these commercials where they say, "Get in a car right now, no money down, bad credit, no credit, we'll get you approved." That, right? You guys seen all that? What's that guy? Mike. What's his name? He's on the radio all the time. Mike Frega. Is that his name? No, you guys don't listen to him. You let me go get Benny. No. Okay. So anyway, we see these all. We hear about this a lot, right? They're saying, "Don't worry about it. We can get you approved. Don't, you know, no credit, bad credit, to get you in a car now." But again, you don't just want to focus on that. Did you get the loan? You want to be focusing on what's the interest rate that they're charging you. What's the length of the term that they're charging you? Because they're willing to give you guys to give a person with a low credit score a loan, but they're also going to raise that interest rate up significantly. Questions? Oh, I thought that was a question. All right, so your credit score. This thing's not. My two things aren't talking to each other. Your credit score is derived from your credit report. Right? So your there are 3 primary credit bureaus. Okay. Oh, I hope I can get this to show. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So each one of these companies have a credit report on you, right? They're showing, and it's listing out, here's all the accounts this person's opened, here's their payment history, here's when they paid it off, here's how many payments they had, all this information on you. Okay? Based on that information, they're calculating a score, a credit score. So this credit score thing that we've been talking about, they're calculating a credit score. Now, under, by law, we're all required to pull our credit report once a year for free. So by a show of hand, how many of you have ever looked at your credit report? Like do that emotion thing on Zoom. You know, raise your hand. Oh, hold on, let me do it again. I can't see everybody. Not that. Oh, okay. Has anyone, sorry, that didn't work. I can't see. Has anyone ever looked at, who's looked at their credit report?
Not me.
I have.
I have.
I have a few times a week.
I have.
So your credit report, right, is different from your credit score. This credit report is not going to give you the score, but it's going to give you all the information that's used to come up with that score. It's like getting your transcripts from Las Positas and it doesn't have your GPA on it. But as long as you have the transcripts, you have the information to calculate your own GPA if necessary. So the reason why you want to look at your credit report for is because you want to make sure that you don't have errors. You guys hear me? The garbage truck's coming. You want to make sure you don't have errors on your credit report. Because if there's errors on your credit report, errors saying that you have an outstanding account that you paid, or errors saying that you opened this account that you never opened, all those things is going to, particularly if it's in a bad way, negative, it's going to lower your credit score. If you have a lower credit score, right? Job, apartment, loans, interest rates, right? All these negative things can come out of it. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your credit report at least once a year to see if there's any inaccuracies on it. So if you go to annualcreditreport.com, you can pull your credit report once a year for free. So we're going to, if I can ask some questions, let's see if we can do a stop share. And are there any questions so far?
I have one about the jobs, looking into your credit. Does that go as a mark on your credit or like an inquiry?
It does not. So that's a good question. It does not. So there's a, we're going to talk about what makes up your credit score in a little bit. One of it is the number of inquiries that you have. How many people are asking, checking in, checking your credit. But that does not count as a inquiry.
Okay.
All right, let's see if I can find.
Quick question. So what would count as an inquiry?
Someone saying, I want to, if someone's saying, there's a way to ask the question. I'm thinking about giving this person a loan. I want to run their credit report. So that counts as an inquiry.
Okay, so it's the amount of people looking into giving you money.
Yes. And that's important, right? We're here. Let's talk about it. That's important because it's what it's saying is, well, if I'm thinking about giving, Benny, extending him a loan, but this other company is, and this other company is, and this other company is, right? Is he trying to get a bunch of loans in a short period of time? Because then that means he may or may not be able to pay, right? So the more people asking about your credit worthiness, right, that's lowering your credit score.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
All right, so I think I know you can see it on the screen. It's a question. So to answer the question, you either can go to the internet, pollev.com/EricBell386, or you can text EricBell386 to the number 37607, and then I think it'll acknowledge that you joined, and then you can either type in A, B, C, or D. Right? So the question is, what is the highest credit score a person can achieve? And right now we've got 6 results in. Some people are answering in the chat room. I'm seeing a C, a D, and a C. But you guys can participate on the poll everywhere as well. All right, let's see, we've got 16 people. Give it another, you should just respond. Well, obviously I've got to give you guys time to get logged in. So give about another 30 seconds. We're gonna do, I think there's like, we got 5 questions, so you might as well get logged in the poll everywhere. 18, if I can get that magic number, 20. So let's see what you all said. Stop the share so I can see the results. Okay, show you all the results here. 63% of you said 850, and that is the right answer. So the highest credit score you can get is 850. If anybody says, man, I got 1,000 credit score, you know they're lying, right? So the highest that you can get is 850. Let's do another one. This one can go a little bit faster because you guys are already all logged in. So I'll just go to the next poll. And it's activated. I don't know if you guys can see that until I put it on the screen. Can you guys see what the question is?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, question is, what is the lowest credit score a person can achieve, right? So the highest is 850. What's the lowest? How bad can it get? Okay. 15 people reporting. Some people are in the chat. I'm seeing A, B, A. All right, let's see what the answer, let's see what you all said, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. So this is what you all came up with. You all said 0. The correct answer is 300.
Yeah.
So the lowest credit score you can receive is a 300. The highest you can receive is an 850.
Whoa.
I don't even know why I'm pausing for questions, because if your question is why, I don't know. I didn't make this up. Let's look at the next question.
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
I have a question. How old is that credit score system? 300
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. But if anybody gets bored and you want to multitask between now and the next 30 minutes, look that up for me. How long has the credit score system been in place? So what do you think the average credit score is for Americans? 300 is the lowest, 850 is the highest. So we're just taking wild guesses right now. Chat room is active. I'm not seeing anything. D, C, B, C, A. No, wait, I don't even think I'm looking at the right ones. B, A, C, C, A, A. All right, let's see what the answer is. You all responded collectively 675. And I would ask you to have a little bit more faith in Americans. It's 700. 700 is the average credit score.
Yes, I got it.
I think you might have been the only person.
Oh.
So this is, you know, I always like to think about averages because this is not a race against other people, but I like to know where I stand in comparison to other people, because we have a tendency to be harder on ourselves than we are on other people, right? And so we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard and say, well, why am I not in the 850 or 800 or whatever, right? And so it's important, it's always good to remember kind of in the context of where you are, right? When you're setting goals. So 800 is I'm sorry, not 800, 700. Let's see if we can get in. We got 2 more polls to go. All right. Which state has the highest average credit score? Between the lovely state of California, the forgotten state of Minnesota, the impressive state of New York, or Vermont. And no one even knows where Vermont is.
Next to New Hampshire, above New York, right?
Next to New Hampshire. No one knows where New Hampshire is.
Darn.
Under Maine. Or next to it, sort of.
I've never been to New Hampshire, or Maine, or Vermont, Delaware. I've been to California. I've been to New York.
Yeah, New Hampshire's pretty
All right.
small. I've been there once. Like 9 minutes away from like Boston Drive. So pretty small place.
Let's see what you all suggested. Oh, there it is. Okay, you all, as a collective, said Vermont. Why'd you say Vermont?
Because the population less for me.
It sounded good.
Sounded good. The correct answer, so we'll go opposite. California has an average credit score of 680.
Good, I'd say.
New York has an average score of 688.
Even better.
Vermont has an average score of 702.
Oh.
And Minnesota has an average score of 709.
Okay. That's interesting that they have higher credit scores, considering, well, I guess they're just states that you'd expect less people live there. They do. Less people live there than here in New York.
Yeah, less people. If I were to venture a guess, I also think it would be a combination of also people are more spread out. So there's less of this keeping up with the Joneses mentality that a lot of people may tend to fall into. we're in California and New York, right? I think we have to combat that a little bit more. Like what do our neighbors and others think of us? All right, let's talk about the bad people. Which one of these states have the lowest average credit score, in your opinion? Crazy Florida, backwards Mississippi, fun Nevada, or big old Texas?
Hmm.
All right, let's see the results. Oh, it's interesting. A tie between Florida and Mississippi. All right, let's rock these down in opposite order. So the one with the highest credit score out of those four is Florida, 668. The second highest would be Texas, 656. Then the second lowest is actually Nevada, 655. And the state with the lowest is Mississippi, 647.
Yes.
Credit score. Again, a state I've never been to, I don't think. But I have no intention of ever going to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Me if I went to Mississippi. All right. Let us get back into this. Just trying to catch us up to where we are. All right. Now I have to make sure you guys saw that slide. I thought that was pretty cool. I spent too much time on that slide, by the way. All right. So let's see, how do we advance? Here we go. So no, yeah. So credit scores, right, as we just talked about, range between 300 and 850. Okay, and each one of these three different companies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, are going to have their own unique credit score. So you're going to have three different credit scores. They all should be around the same, but they're not going to be the same because each one of them is using their own scoring model to come up with your credit score. The most commonly used credit score is your FICO score. So I don't know if you've heard that term before, FICO. But FICO is the most commonly used. Probably get more in the frame, shouldn't I? So you can get your credit score for free. Okay, so depending on what type of credit card provider, so one of my credit cards is Discover, and every month they give me a credit. They give me my credit score. So it's kind of cool to kind of see my credit score, watching it go up, or and it's not cool sometimes when it goes down. And so the higher your score, the better your credit worthiness. So anything 700 and above is considered a good score. Okay. If it's below, anything between 300 and 600 is considered a poor score. So when I was preparing, I said I wonder if anyone, like, what do you have to do to get a 300 score? And so I Googled that. How do you get a 300 credit score? And I saw a site that said of the 294 million scoreable consumers, right? So you have to have some level of debt, in order to even get a credit score. And 294 million people have credit scores. Of the 294 million people, 0.01%, about 29,000 people have a 300 credit score. So I take it it's very, very difficult to get a 300, to get that low. But anything below 600 is considered poor. So you're gonna have a very hard time getting a loan, or if you get a loan, that interest rate is gonna be extremely high.
Okay.
So here's what makes up your FICO score. So, and so remember, you're looking at your credit report, right? So FICO kind of gives us general information. Your credit report, 35% of your FICO score is based off of your payment history. So what's your ability to borrow money or open an account and pay on that account? So the biggest part of your payment of your credit score is going to be your payment history. So when you're looking at your credit report for errors, what you're looking for is, are there accounts that are not accurately reflecting the payments that I've been making? I'm watching Hulu, watching Handmaid's Tale. I'm kind of working my way through that series right now. And so, Hulu has these commercials, right, that you can't skip. Well, we have it, I'm using my son's account, so we can't skip the commercials. And there's one called, I saw a commercial called Experian Boost, right? And they were saying, if you just sign up, just you signing up, it's going to automatically boost your credit score. It's going to make your credit score go up just by you signing up. And so, me being the skeptic, I go, how's that even possible, right? So I looked it up, like how is it that they're able to make your credit score go up immediately just by you signing up? And what they do is, you guys want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course.
What they do is, as soon as you sign up, right, and you give them things like Social Security number or whatever they ask for, they go and look for, they go to look for things that are not on your credit report. So things that may not be on your credit report would be utilities or your phone bill, payments that you've been making, right, on a consistent basis, even if it's small, right, and they get that added to your credit report. As soon as they add that to your credit report, add something like, oh yeah, Eric has this, Eric's been on Apple Music now for 2 years, and he makes that payment every month, right? It's, what is it, $7.99 a month. They add that, and now they're looking at, wow, this guy's got 2 years of payment history, so it's going to boost my credit score. So it makes your credit score go up just by your payment history. The other big factor of that is the amounts owed, right? And I think this sucks, man. But essentially what they're saying is, the more money you owe, the higher your credit score is going to be. The more money that you owe, the more likely they are to say, let's loan this person some money. The more money you owe, the more likely they are to say, let's loan this person some money at a lower interest rate. because they're looking at how much money you already have outstanding, and that's boosting your credit score, making your credit score go up. So, and I have a real example of this, right? So after the last financial crisis back in 2009, 2008, 2009, I swore off. That's when I was like, I got to get my stuff together, right? So close my credit card accounts, start paying them off, right? Because I owed a ton of money on credit cards, and just said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not getting back into this level of debt. And so I really just kind of swore off debt. I actually didn't even have a credit card for a long period of time. And when I finally got my Discover card, I was watching how my credit score, I was disappointed in it, right? It's like a score, and you want high scores. And then I went and I took out a car loan, right? Because they had such low interest rate, I was like, I got to do it. So I took out this car loan. Once I took out the car loan, right, and I added $40,000 or whatever to the amounts that I owe, my credit score jumped up. So all of a sudden, they go, oh, if Chase wants to loan him money, well, then we want to loan him money too. Right? So it is important that you have some level, if you're managing your credit scores, that you maintain some level of debt, right? So then that's when we get back into this discussion of good debt versus bad debt, right? Home loan, good debt. Credit card, bad debt, right? Student loans, good debt. Right? Those good debts are those debts that are adding value to either to the asset or to your life. 15% is based off of the length of your credit history. So how long have you had credit outstanding? So this is where those little tricks like adding your 16-year-old, 18-year-old son or daughter to your credit card as an authorized user comes into play, right? If you can add them at the age of 16, and then that will, and you're paying it, right? That will give them 4 years of credit history, right? When they're at the age of 20, when they want to go out and get a loan, they can go out, they can already have that established credit. You guys give me 1 second, because I am freezing. I'm going to close this garage door. Give me 1 second. And it was cold. And it was raining bad. All that stuff. All right. So another 10% is your credit mix. Okay. So they're looking at what type of credit do you have outstanding, right? So I got auto. So that was the other thing that helped boost my credit score, because now I had mortgage debt, I had a credit card, and I also had an auto loan, right? So when you have that mix, all that starts to boost up your credit, because it's showing your ability to kind of manage multiple types of debt. And then the other 10% is your is new credit. So how much new credit is going out there. Now, mixed in there somewhere within that new credit is inquiries, right? So every time you have an inquiry, right, or someone's asking, running your credit report, that's an indicator that you're about to get some new credit. So that's causing your credit score to go down, right? That's what Nina was asking. It's causing your credit score to go down. So that's why it's important that if you're gonna take out a loan, say for a car, that you don't want to go from dealer to dealer. Mistake I made, go from dealer to dealer and say, what can I do? What can you do for me? And they go, okay, let me run your credit report. Because every time they're running my credit report, right, I'm in my 20s, so it's already bad credit. Credit's already bad. Every time they're running my credit report, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, right? That's why another advantage to going through a credit union or bank, getting that amount of credit already established, and then going into the dealer knowing what your amount can be. Questions?
Is your FICO score all three combined, basically?
The three credit unions? Are the three
Yeah.
credit unions? No. So each
Like an
credit bureau is going to have their own FICO score for you.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't know which, are they pulling it from Experian or TransUnion or whatever. So we don't know where they're pulling it from, but it all should be within some sort of tight range, right? If you're a 700 score, you're going to be somewhere in the 700, 694, 705, something like that.
Why the FICO score like is higher than the regular because it said 850. We usually said the maximum we had 800.
Let's say 800 or 850.
It said 800 on the PowerPoint.
On the PowerPoint. So, like I said, there's a lot of different scores. I thought I said 850. I think I said 850 was the highest. But there's different scores. So some will go from like 300 to 800. Some may go from 350 to 850. Everyone's kind of doing it a little bit different. But I think 850 is the highest you can get. So this is just just kind of like a table that's showing what creditors are looking at, right? So what they're saying is, on average, if you have a credit score of somewhere between 800 and 850, there's a very slim chance that you're not going to pay this loan back, right? 1%. And then you can see that as it goes up, someone between 550 and 599, 50% chance that they're going to pay. So that's when, right, because they're in a business, right? So they have to manage their risk, right? So that's why the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate they're going to charge you, because they're more motivated to kind of get that money out of you in advance before, the 50% chance that you, the delinquent means not paying. You stop paying, okay, and you're low. Oh, you know what? I went too fast. Are there other questions on the credit score slide? On this one? So I really like talking about credit scores because it's interwoven so much into our lives as Americans and our fascination with debt, right, and how we're all acquiring debt. So I think it's important that we have an understanding of what is included in your credit score. What's also important is to talk about what is not on your credit score. Okay? What does not, or not what's not in your credit report, what's not a factor of your credit score. Okay? So your bank account balance has that, how much money you have in the bank or how much money you have in your investment accounts or retirement accounts does not factor into your credit history. So if you've ever applied for a loan, they're asking you for your social security number so they can get your credit report, but they're also asking you, how much do you have in assets? How much do you have in your 401k? Because they're looking at your credit score as an indicator, but they're also looking at what assets do you have and can they use those assets to cover any outstanding debt that you may or may not pay. They're also not taking into effect your overall net worth. A lot of you heard me talk about, and you've heard about it yourself, Dave Ramsey, who is an adamant, like, no debt, right? He's just absolutely against any type of debt. And he brags that he doesn't have a credit score because he doesn't take out debt. So he doesn't have any debt. You don't have any debt, you don't have any credit score, right? So he brags that he doesn't even have a credit score, right? So because when we all reach that multimillionaire status where we can buy homes and things without taking out a loan, then we can not worry about our credit score either. But until then, I think, at least for me, I need to be managing my credit score. So the other thing is your credit score is based on the information on your credit reports, right? So this goes back to that Experian boost, right? So it's primarily just looking at what money that you borrowed that you said you're going to pay back, right? So it doesn't look at what school you went to. It doesn't look at how much money you're making, right? That's why they asked that on the loan application. It's not looking at your income. Your credit report, and this is where that Experian boost thing comes in. It doesn't even include, here's some bills that you've just been paying on a monthly basis, paying them on time. They usually, the only time when those, normally when they come up is when you stop paying. Like when you like I did when I was 18 years old, got my phone, back when we all had phones in our house, got my phone turned off because I just stopped paying it. Got my cable cut off because I just stopped paying it. Well, when you're late, they report that to the credit bureau, okay? But they don't proactively report, hey, Eric's been a cable subscriber for 4 years now, and he pays on time every time. They're not going to proactively do that, right? So that's where that Experian boost, they're kind of gaming the system by getting that type of stuff on your credit report so it can help boost your credit score. Questions? This was answering someone's question. I think it was Nina's question. So you do have more than one credit score, but all these credit scores. So you have. Let me step back. You have one credit report, and then you have different bureaus who are then taking that information to put into their proprietary system to calculate what your credit score is going to be. So it doesn't matter what your different credit scores are. You want to focus on that credit report and making sure that it's accurate, making sure that all the information that should be on there is on there. And then that's going to change your credit score on all the different bureaus. We have covered this, landlords, and they do run credit checks. Yeah, they run credit checks. And about 2 years ago, when I was leasing out a condo, the property manager said, okay, here are the 3 people, and here's some information about them, how much income they have, where they work, and here's their credit score. And that wasn't my only consideration, but it was a factor, right? Because that's an indicator of their history, right? Just because someone has a 4.0 grade point average doesn't necessarily mean that they're smart. Just because someone has a 2.0 grade point average doesn't mean that they're average. But it is an indicator, right? If you've gotten A's in all your classes, that tells me that you're disciplined, that you know how to pick the easy classes or the easy teachers. So it tells me something about you. And if you've gotten C's in all your classes, it doesn't mean that you're not smart, but it does tell me something about you, right? So that's where that credit score is a factor. So who wants good credit? That's me.
Everyone.
Anybody? Darth? Man, I bring my kids in here. This is a Star Wars museum. And they come in here and they just love this place. I don't let them come in here a lot because there's Chewbacca right there. Because, you know, touching stuff. So if you want to have good credit, live on a budget. If you have credit cards, pay them off every month, right? So your credit card usage should be an extension of your budget, right? So if you plan to spend $200 a month on food, you don't want that. You know, you can put that $200 on your credit card, right? But then you're holding that money in the bank so that you can pay off your credit card at the end. Pay your loans pay any loans you take out, make sure you pay them on time. And there's no quick fixes, right? So this thing that Experian, I'm not talking bad about Experian Boost, but they're going to pull in some things that's going to make your credit score go up, but it's only going to go up so much, right? It's not going to be a significant impact. If you want to have good credit, it takes time to build. So you want to, you know, there's no quick fixes. Questions on that?
I have a question. You had mentioned at one time, I thought, that paying loans early could jeopardize your credit or could lower your credit score. Did I hear that correctly?
They're looking at the length of the loan. So how long have you had the loan outstanding? So if for example, my car loan was a 6-year loan or something like that. I think it was 6 years. And I had it outstanding for 2 years and then I paid it off. Okay. That looks good on my credit report that I paid it off early. But what's going to happen is 3 years from now, as that starts to fall off my credit report, they're going to look at my credit report and say, this guy doesn't have a whole lot of outstanding debt. So now my credit score is going to start going down because I don't have a good mixture.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which is not the worst thing in the world though, right? Because I don't really want to be in a position where I'm borrowing money for things anyway, right? So the credit score is not the end all be all, which I think is the next slide. Yeah. So bottom bullet point. Don't go into debt just to build credit, right? That's not the ideal situation. Make sure you're checking your credit report every year. I did not do that until I started teaching this class. I knew I was supposed to do it, right? Like Benny said, we know what we're supposed to do, we just don't do it. And, you know, so now I make a point of every year just going through and reading it because it's free. So I figured, why not do it? And make sure there aren't anything that's any inaccuracies on there. I really should just take the second bullet off, protect your identity. I mean, I guess there's things that we can do, you know, don't, when you're at the grocery store and you're putting in your PIN, don't say 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't say your PIN out loud. But man, my information is like so far out of my hands right now, right? Like the Marriott just had its breach and I stayed at a Marriott a couple months ago. I don't know, you know, so I just can't, so far out of our control. What is in our control is co-signing on loans. So if you co-sign on a loan, talking to the parents, talking to the girlfriends and the boyfriends, if the good friends. If you co-sign on a loan for someone because you have good credit and they don't, if they don't pay, you become responsible. That's going to show up on your credit report as the co-signer. So that's a Dave Ramsey tip that I just 100% agree in. I don't co-sign on loans. I'm either gonna, I'm not gonna do it. Questions? That's it. All right. Oh, and time's up. 30 seconds to spare. So on Wednesday, so first of all, thank you all for all you guys who have your cameras up, and those of you, I saw you guys coming in and out with your cameras. I really, really appreciate that. It's just good to see faces. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to manage debt, how to get out of debt. Okay. So we're going to be breaking out into going into breakout rooms, and you all are going to get to lead this discussion. So I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. And here's my new thing. I want you to stay healthy physically. I want you to stay healthy mentally. And I want you to stay healthy spiritually. All right. Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Bell.
you. Bye.
Thank you. See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Bye.
Okay.
Don't forget that.
Oh my.
So do you want to see the rest of the Star Wars Museum?
Yeah.
I like the Spider-Man. So, all right, let's see. How do I share that? All right, so this is my guy.
Are these figures from the 1999?
This is my favorite.
Promotion from Pepsi?
It is, yeah. This is
Oh.
my favorite Darth Maul. Can you see him? Let me get out of the way. Oh,
Yeah, we see him. He's right there.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite right there. And then I got my first piece that I ever bought. So I told you guys I have a 19-year-old son, or 20, and this Yoda is older than my 19-year-old son. Or they're about the same age, 20-year-old son. So when I first got him, I had to cover him up because my son was nervous. That's my guy, Emperor Palpatine. This is Stormtrooper. Okay. Yes, this is a fire waiting to happen. Don't look at that. And this is my Boba Fett. And then if you look up here, look at this guy. Look at this guy. I got some guys hanging from the ceiling. Can you see that guy? Salacious Crumb. He's hanging from the ceiling. And some other stuff. So, all right. That's it. Just bragging. All right, guys. Have a good rest of the day.